Welcome to In A Prosecco, the podcast that raises a glass to moms who are transitioning from empty nester into the next beautiful phase of life as a free bird. I'm your host, Slowy. I'm a mother of two sons who have grown and flown, and I'm also a former corporate executive, filmmaker, writer, speaker, and entrepreneur who has helped women transfer into their authentic selves to uncork their infinite sparkling possibilities. So whether you're sipping a Prosecco or your favorite beverage of choice, join me as we pop open today's message in a bottle. Hello and happy holidays. Welcome to In A Prosecco. This is a special holiday edition because of the topic that we're going to cover today. So as I open up the bottle to see what the message is in the bottle, my favorite part. Oh, it's being stubborn. Yay! I actually, last night, put together a festive ice cube or ice ball for my Prosecco today, and it has a splash of cranberry that was frozen with rosemary to look like a Christmas tree, and then some pomegranates. So hopefully this pours and doesn't overpour. Oh, nice. Okay, so the effervescence, I'm hoping this floats, and in the meantime, it'll give me a little bit of cranberry as it's a festive beverage. Cheers to you. So, what is the truth serum revealing today? Let's see. Well, in light of the holidays, this is when our kids come home. So, today's episode, the reentry of our home, or our grown and flown when they come home. I've always wanted to be able to cover this because I definitely was the mom that was excited for the holiday traditions. Anytime that we would have Christmas come around, like we wanted to be able to celebrate it. It was a favorite holiday of mine growing up. And it was the one thing that the positive memories of being able to cherish and wanted to extend that kind of experience for my kids. And so we would throw parties and really dedicate like games for the kids to be able to, like, there was this saran wrap ball thing that you gift, or you actually wrap like small gifts and money or toys and candy and just keep wrapping the saran ball until it was huge. And then the kids would play so that they would roll the dice, and if they had doubles, they would have to, or it would transfer the next person. Or it was the box game where you keep unwrapping the box with mittens. So it made it really difficult to unwrap. And so whoever got to the center got their main prize. And so there'd be probably like cash or something for them. And so Christmas is really important to me. And when our oldest son went off to college, I realized that there was, when he came home, learning that, okay, he's already been off to college. And so he's had his own schedule. He's been able to have his own, really being responsible for school. And so when it came to the reentry, I realized that there wasn't any kind of setting of expectations or conversations other than, what are we going to do for the holidays? So I realized after he came home, though, he's got a different schedule because of his classes. He's staying up later. And when his friends were also coming home, he wanted to go be with them as much as, more so than, okay, I'm seeing my parents, but all my friends are home. And so now it becomes like this reunion for them. And so I realized also that, hey, things are different and I need to change my expectations. And so even when it came to my oldest Nick leaving to go back to school, I felt like the dagger in the heart again. Oh no, he's leaving. It was nice to be able to have him home for those 30 to 45 days. But now I'm feeling like that empty nester all over again, and the feels and the sadness and a little bit of the crying. And So I thought that it would be helpful to maybe share 7 tips for you as you prepare for the reentry. And when your kids come home, to have that conversation even before they get home about some things. So number 1, I would say that is just preparing for the expectations. Again, they've had their own schedule, they've had their sense of independence. And mom and dad haven't had to look over their shoulder. They're completely responsible for their schedule. And again, this isn't just about college. So if it was that they moved away to another state, they're working, they're in the military, they're in trade school, whatever, they're often and flown somewhere else when they come home. And even for the summers, right? That there's a whole different expectations about what they are going to do for work or what their schedule is going to look like. So really, it's just setting the expectations ahead of time before they even come home. So what does that look like as far as the schedules? Okay, is your child going to be working? If your child is going to be going out, do you want to set an expectation ahead of time so that, okay, we maybe had the midnight curfew when you were home, and does that change? And we didn't have the curfew conversation, but one of the things that was important for us is that, okay, now you're home and you were able to come and go as you wanted in the dorm. And that's still, though, since you're under our roof now, we'd still like to know what your plans are so that if you're going to leave, if you're going to plan to have dinner elsewhere, so that we knew, should we have dinner ready or have dinner together? And even when it came to, the sleeping schedule and space, that if we had guests, if we wanted to have other guests come in and stay with us for the holidays. So having expectations set up ahead of time before the reentry even occurs, that was something I wish I would have done. And just to have that dialogue, because you've got your young adult and what is it that they would like to do, and so that you're not disappointed, because I thought, oh, I'm going to come home and I really want to see mom and dad and my friends. And I would say, and I'm guessing that both my kids would say, hey, it was just as important for them to reconnect with their childhood friends. And so just setting those expectations ahead of time so that you're not disappointed. Number 2, I would say embrace the change. Embrace the fact that you have a young adult who is responsible for making their own schedules. They're also probably going to come home with a different perspective. Having that independence also means that in the classroom, the new circle of friends, whatever the case may be, that, hey, maybe they're a little bit different when they come home, and that's wonderful. And maybe they're also not much different, and yet it seems different just because they've been away and they've had an opportunity to explore on their own. And, with new experiences come different opinions on life issues. Maybe they will surprise you with some things that they view differently now, or even some choices that they want to make for their future. So just embrace that, like really keep that dialogue open. And sometimes I think that's the beauty of really celebrating the independence that they have now, that it also means they're becoming their own person. So it's something to celebrate. The third thing for a tip, I would say, is navigating the reentry challenges. There's, as far as having, again, I kind of mentioned it as far as the expectations. So if they want to be able to have their friends over, or if you're wanting to have plans, how do you come together without button heads? It's their childhood home, or, that you're also wanting to do things a little bit differently. You've had your own time schedule that you've implemented. And so how does that become a challenge when all of a sudden the dynamics of the family changes with somebody returning home. So those are things that maybe the first round, those are the things that you're going to be learning about, so that the next time, or when the summer break happens, or they're coming back for another holiday, long weekend, week, month, whatever, that you'll know next time what to prepare to go back to that first tip, and just being able to set the expectations ahead of time. So then going to the fourth tip. The fourth tip, as far as once you've been able to experience some of the dynamics change, then you know you're already thinking about, oh my gosh, it's only 5 days before they leave. They're going to be gone soon. So what does that look like? Oh my gosh, I had the feels before I would do the countdown. Oh no, Christmas has already happened. Now it's going to be New Year's, and sooner than later, time has flown and they're going to be leaving again. And I'm already starting to have that ache in my heart. So just realizing that once the departure happens again, yes, initially, it's probably going to have that, it's like that feeling of that, that strike to the heart one more time, but it gets easier. It really does get easier. Every time still that my kids fly off after they've come to visit, I'm still crying, but it's less painful. And that's part of the adjusting, as the changes are to be embraced, really, because thinking for them too, how they're feeling. They're going back to their life, and they may very well feel excited about, going back to their routine and whatever lifestyle they've created for themselves. So, maybe the best thing then is to understand that another tip sort of really is like creating meaningful moments with new traditions, so that it's something to look forward to. So before the departure, adding another tip really that, maybe those traditions were meant to also shift a little bit as they've gotten older, participate, so that include their opinion or their input on some things. This round, after we moved to Florida, it was very different because we didn't have our network of friends and family that we were holding these Christmas traditions together. It was having to realize that it's different traditions. And our first Christmas, actually, when we moved from Colorado to Florida, our oldest went off to work and he was on a cruise ship over Christmas. And so it felt totally different. And so it's not even the four of us, it was the three of us. I felt a lot of melancholy. And, it wasn't like we even had the opportunity to create the new traditions together. I never even thought of it. It was just, I think I was more in mourning about what was, the wonderful memories. And then, being in a new place, that I realized that sometimes it's a difficult change initially, but it's also a good thing and a healthy thing, that some traditions are meant to just be broken for new ones to be born. Oh, look. Oh, my ice cube has melted in my Prosecco, and it's now really super pretty. I wish for listeners who can't see, but the viewers who are watching on YouTube, it's so cool. The effervescence has definitely made it even more festive in my glass. So I need to take a sip. Okay, so where was I? I was on, I think it was tip number 5 about preparing for departure. So when that happens, just know when they leave, it's going to be that initial pain. But then my 6th tip is really knowing that that's going to be possibly painful for you, what to do to have yourself prepared. So not only for your student to okay, I got to pack and get ready to go back, but rather if you were also starting to go back into your routines before they leave, So in another episode, when I talked about, preparing for the the departure of when they actually leave for the first time, now as the holidays, even with the summer breaks, if you're able to actually get into a mode because you've done all of the work while they were gone to be able to have your own interests become a priority. And I think that your kids would really appreciate that because remember, we're also, as parents, we always keep that title, but it also shifts into becoming a partner, a guidance counselor of sorts, a mentor. So being able to realize that, have your kids come to you when they need you, but also where you're not just waiting for that to happen, that you are beyond just whether it was your work schedule that you're going back to after the holidays, or even where it's how do you want to ensure that you're staying connected to those friends or the organizations, whether it is work, however that might look like for you, and know that hey, if you've got your work routine, I know that I was doing my workouts, so that was important, the priority there, but also what was it that I was going to be into with my business and my own social schedule, right? So really, it's just the modeling that we do that for our expectations, that's what we model for them, our kids, what we're wanting for them to be able to do to reciprocate the courtesy. So have open conversations about their plans after the holidays, and offer support for decisions and what plans that they're making for their future. So that if they're looking at, if they've obviously in college, they've hopefully have already picked their new classes for the next semester, or for any reason, or, what is it that they're wanting to be able to do and have those meaningful conversations before the actual departure, because I think that's where the element of staying positive, of knowing that you're going to have, again, it's just going to be another minor hiccup as the shift and the change, but it all will fall into place. It really does. So then the seventh tip, I would say, is having the joy and looking forward, that positivity, so that really the time that you do have with your young adult, it's really about the quality of time that you spend together, not the quantity of time. So that, yes, they're going to be hustling and bustling wherever they're off to, but the time that you do have with them to stay present, and don't have hurt feelings if you don't feel like you're the priority. And, I realized that it was like, I know as a mom, we're the safe place, right? Wherever home is, that's, if they're coming home to you and feel like that's their place of being able to decompress, where they're not having to be on their on game, and that they're in a secure place with you, that it doesn't have to be the ongoing planning of like, what are we going to do next? Or give them the chance to be able to decompress, have the downtime. But when you are able to connect with one another, to make it as quality of present time, so that when they do leave, you want to still be able to have those conversations, and where they feel comfortable contacting you for advice and to share their day, and for you to do the same. I love, 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 love when my boys call, and I'm always so bummed out if I miss it, or if they text. I'm so excited because I feel like I'm really fortunate that they'll reach out, and that I'm not having to always ask, how are you doing? Please check in. but it's become a different relationship now. And I really am excited that it's more of like a friendship. And, again, we still always have that role as a parent, an advisor, but to be able to see your kids blossom is what's so exciting. So, it does get easier. I still am always sad when they leave, of course, but man, when they come home and the reentry is just that much better, I think, for the both of us. So, just a recap as far as the 7 things, right? So the first one is just to set the expectations first and foremost, and then embrace the change that is going to really become prevalent and evident. And number 3, navigating those reentering challenges, because it's going to change. And if your kid's in college, it'll change the first year, second year, third year to the time that they graduate. Number 4, create new meaningful moments with new traditions. It's not about keeping things the same anymore, right? We're all changing, and that's part of the fun of really growing and expanding. So that, as you prepare for departure, realize that quality time versus quantity of time is essential. So, and as you prepare, number 5, prepare for the departure. Have those open conversations before they leave as far as, hey, I'd love to just connect with you at least weekly, and or whatever works for the both of you, and so that as tip number 6 comes around, when you're coping with the empty nest, like, wow, it's empty again, you've already prepared yourself so that you're right back into your own routine. And not to say that it's a distraction, but rather you're also excited about your new life and your new independence, and that it's a positive thing that you're going different directions, because then it just makes it that much sweeter when you can reunite again. And then tip number 7, as far as looking forward and having a new level of communication and having that positive outlook for them, so that you want to be that resource for them, and that being in a place that you're grounded and centered when they do leave, and that it's okay for them to call, and whenever they need an ear to bend, but you've got your life, and that you're also able to truly embrace that free bird. This is a whole new era for you. So with the holidays, I hope that you're celebrating and having the most incredible new traditions, new memories created. And if you enjoyed this episode, please comment, and subscribe so that you're notified when the next episode drops. Happy holidays to you. Cheers. If you enjoyed this episode of In A Prosecco, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate and review the show, and please do comment and share ideas for topics that are important to you. A friend who cares is a friend who shares. Here's a toast to you on your re-inspirement journey. Cheers.